So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. The February 9th, 2022 meeting of the Long Branch City Council will now come to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler?
Here.
Mr. Vieira?
Here.
Mrs. Wittes?
Here.
Dr. Selly?
Here.
And Dr. Vogt?
Here. So we will now recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation,
Under
God,
Indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. I'll now read the mission statement. The Long Branch Mayor, City Council, and Administration are committed to cultivating an environment of mutual trust and respect that values the diversity of our community. We'll strive to enhance the quality of life for all who live here by making Long Branch a desirable place in which to live and prosper. We'll treat all members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. Certification, please.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper and adequate and electronic notice has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and the New Jersey Administrative Code, Title 5, Chapter 39, Section 1.5, Notice of Remote Public Meetings as required by law.
Thank you. So tonight, it's unfortunate that we need to start tonight's meeting with a moment of silence for certainly a beloved colleague and public service servant to Long Branch that I know we all have respected, with the death of Mike DeStefano this past week. Just before we start that, I just want to give you a little bit of reminder of how he served Long Branch. So Michael was born and raised in Long Branch. He only lived in two homes throughout his whole life in Long Branch. The home in which he was born and shared with his parents and two sisters, and the home that he shared with his wife, where he raised his three sons. He actually met his wife, Renee, on the front steps of his home. And 7 years after that, they married and they raised Robert, Mark, and Andrew. He will be fondly remembered in Long Branch. He served on the city council for 20 years. He also served on the Long Branch Planning Board. He felt that his greatest achievement for Long Branch was helping us to acquire and develop the land that's now Manahasset Creek Park in North Long Branch that we all so much enjoy. Michael also worked at Brookdale Community College for at least 19 years, where he managed the college's accounts receivable department. Mike took pride, listen to this, when you think about a work ethic. Mike took pride in the fact that he never took a sick day from work and only missed 2 days in his entire 19-year career at Brookdale. He loved life. He was an outstanding public servant who made so many contributions to our fine city. May he rest in peace as an example of a life well lived. Please, let's take a moment to remember Michael in our prayers. Thank you. To move along, I would like to, and now I need a motion to approve the minutes of the January 26th, 2022 meeting.
So move.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Dangler?
Yes.
Mr. Vieira?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Abstain.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
And Dr. Vogt?
Yes. So we have two presentations tonight, and one actually has to do with introducing Black History Month. And you may remember that we started a little tradition with some of our magnificent students in Long Branch, where they join us to read the resolution that honors the month and the group that is being honored that month. So tonight we have Layla Bland. Hey, Layla, so nice to have you join us. Let me tell you a little bit about Layla. She's a 7th grade student in Long Branch Middle School. She's active in many sports, including soccer, basketball, track and field. She's also a member of the National Junior Honor Society. Yay, Layla, great job. Outside of school, Layla enjoys painting and decorating her room and hanging out with her cousins. She's also part of the PSA soccer club and has been for the last 7 years. She feels fortunate that she gets to experience the traveling and exposure that club offers. At the end of the day, though, she loves to watch a good Netflix show with her parents and with her sister. So thank you for joining us. And Layla, if you would you read our proclamation about Black History Month?
Yes. Whereas Black History Month permits society to celebrate the achievements of African Americans. Whereas Black History Month celebrates during the month of February, originated in 1926 when Dr. Carter G. Woodson set aside a special period in February to recognize African American heritage and achievements. Whereas the city of Long Branch recognizes that all individuals need an opportunity to understand the common humanity underlying all people, to develop pride in his or her own identity and heritage, and to understand, respect, and accept the identity and heritage of others. Whereas this observations permits society to re-examine its role in preserving the civil rights of all citizens. Whereas many African Americans lived, toiled, and died in obscurity, never achieving the recognition those individuals deserve, and yet paved the way for future generations to succeed. Whereas African Americans continue to serve the United States at the highest levels of business, government, and the military. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Long Branch that February is hereby designated as Black History Month in the City of Long Branch.
Layla, thank you so much. Excellent job. Excellent job. We're very proud of you. And now our second presentation is from Christine Sullivan.
Thank you,
And-
Layla.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Nice job, Layla.
Great
Thank
job,
you.
Layla.
There you go.
Very great, Layla.
Hi,
Let me introduce you, the second person who will be doing a short presentation for us. And if you haven't met Christine yet, Christine Sullivan is the person who is bringing all of the programming to our new Arts and Cultural Center, and just really has brought that place alive with so many interesting programs. Christine has put together an outstanding program in honor of Black History Month, and we wanted her to just join us and tell us a little bit about what that program includes. So Christine, it's all yours.
thank you, Anita. Hello, my name is Christine Sullivan, and I'm the Special Events Coordinator at the Long Branch Arts and Cultural Center. Together with the help of the Recreation Department, in particular Chris Parker, who played an integral role in finding artists for this show, we put together an exhibit called Celebrating Black History Through Art. I have a video that shows a walkthrough of the room. If we could please play the video. And let's you see how the pieces are displayed throughout the space. We could play the video, please.
Yeah, I'm just having trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Allow Zoom. New security features on Mac. Thank you for that.
Well, while we're waiting for the video, we had a lot of pieces that were on loan from New Jersey Arts World Gallery in Union, New Jersey. And we also have several artists who are featured, including one Long Branch resident, Latoya Morris. The other artists featured include Tino F. Cook and Perfula Nevling. So as you can see, this is a view walking through the gallery from when you first enter the space. The name of the exhibit, Celebrating Black History Through Art, perfectly encapsulates what we want to accomplish with this exhibit. a celebration of African American culture, traditions, values, and a look into the lives of a people who have endured many challenges. Represented in the show is a mix of traditional African art, some of which you can see right now on the pillars of the wall, scenes depicting moments in everyday life, abstracts, historic photos, and images of important figures in politics and pop culture that shaped the modern world as we know it. As I mentioned before, many of the pieces are on loan from Arthur Pickney's gallery, New Jersey Arts World in Union, New Jersey. And the artists featured again include Long Branch local Latoya Morris, Tino F. Cook, and Harthula Nevlin. So I actually have a little PowerPoint to show you that has some of the work that we will be seeing. Celebrating Black history through art, presented by Long Branch Arts and Cultural Center and Long Branch Recreation. Featuring works from Arthur Pickney and New Jersey Arts World's Gallery, Tino F. Cook, Latoya Morris, and Harthula Nevlin. As you can see, here are some of the images of the gallery. This first picture shows a wall that has some political pictures as well as some pop culture and historic figures. The second image shows a view of the main room, including some of the main gallery wall and the vaults wall. And the final picture shows some traditional African art on the podium, on the pillars, as well as some other pieces on the small easels. One of our featured artists is Tino F. Cook. He has a very varied style. His first image here is a portrait that he had done of Miles Davis. And then there's a poster here that speaks about freedom and rage and things that he has experienced as an African-American man. And the third picture is one of his abstracts. A few more works from Tino Cook include the first image, which is actually a still from the documentary Slavery by Another Name, charcoal portrait of Maya Angelou in the middle, and also a carving print that he had done. Another artist featured is Latoya Morris, who is a Long Branch resident. And as you can see, she's done very beautiful, vibrant portrait work. So the final picture is actually a picture of her son. Some of the pictures are fantasy and some are people that she knows personally. So these are some more images from Latoya Morris. Our final featured artist is Harthula Nevlin. Some of her work is a little bit more abstract. The first few pieces you see are resin work, which is a poured liquid plastic that you can make beautiful pieces on. And the first one, it was on glass, and this one was just on an actual canvas. The final image is a portrait that she had made. Some of her other works include a series that she calls What's in a Name, which is the center picture, in which she's taken the names of people that she's known and makes abstract art out of the letter forms within the image. She also has portraits in different types of mediums. The one on the left is actually the leftover skins from her resin art that she's made into faces. And the one on the right is a portrait in paint, traditional medium. So for this month, we have operating hours of normal typical days, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 9 to 4. But to celebrate this beautiful exhibit, we're also expanding to have viewing hours Wednesday evenings, 4 to 7, and on Sunday from 12 to 5. And as you can see here, I have some of the information of some of the artists and their social media, as well as the address for New Jersey Arts World, which is the gallery that lent us the artwork. I also have a flyer here. We're going to have an artist reception Thursday, February 24th, of some of the people who are featured in this exhibit from 6 to 8 p.m. There's going to be entertainment, refreshments, and everyone is invited to attend. I put all the information for the show as well as all the information for the artists on the screen above. Let me go back and stop the share. That actually concludes my presentation. Thank you for inviting me to speak about our current exhibit. I'm really excited to have such a beautiful exhibit at the Art Center, and I really hope that this is something the community will enjoy.
Christine, thank you so much. It's excellent.
It's
Beautiful
really
presentation.
beautiful. It's the pictures and the video really don't do it justice. When you're there in person, it's incredible.
Nice.
Great job, Christine.
Great job.
you. Thank
It
you for
really
having
is
me.
it really is a beautiful exhibit, and you did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Great
Excellent.
presentation.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Christine, and we'll all make sure to make it over. Particularly, we'll try to be there for your opening event, your reception on the 24th. So great job. So moving along to consideration of ordinances and public hearing and final consideration. And this is ordinance 3-22, which is an ordinance amending section 325-24.1 residential parking program of the Code of the City of Long Branch. This ordinance was introduced on January 26, 2022, and amends section 325-24-1 by allowing motor vehicles to be registered to property owners with an adjacent line of street designated as resident permit parking only, with a corner lot with a residence facing an intersecting street. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If any member of the public has any comment to make, please dial *9 on your phone and a representative will call on you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When you are called upon, state your name and address clearly for the record. You will have 5 minutes and may only speak once. Do we have any callers, Will?
I see one hand raised. Caller whose phone number ends in 350. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Ernest George Mignoli, 710 Northeast 7th Street, Unit 407, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33435. I'm neighbors with so many Long Branch police, firemen retired, Asbury, Neptune. Almost everybody in Monmouth County retires and are my neighbors. So it's like I never left my home, you know? I could talk to anybody down here and know exactly what's going on in Long Branch. So what you're doing with parking in Long Branch, in my opinion, like with ordinances like this, regardless of what the public says, you just keep approving everything. And when you look at Long Branch on any day, on any weekend, and now you're going to be opening up these pot shops, and now with Senator Gopal getting that public alcohol, where now you can buy alcohol and walk around.
Council President,
Right,
please.
Mr. McNolly, please
It's
keep your comments. Please keep your
parking.
comments centered on this ordinance.
I am. I'm saying all the things that you're approving, high density development, late night bars, public alcohol, public pot. It brings people because they want to come to Long Branch and party hardy. And they're bringing tens of thousands of cars. You don't have enough parking for the residents. And yet you're bringing in all these partiers and you keep changing the parking. You keep changing the stop signs. You keep changing the 2-hour parking and the 4-hour parking and the alternate parking. And then you got residents who got so many people living there and they want to play basketball in their driveway. So you give them permits to take the street. And that's what's going on. You could see it. I've seen it. Everybody sees it. But you don't care. You just keep approving everything. So my comment don't approve this. But you're going to approve it. That's what you do. Vote no. Vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNolly. Will, are there any other callers?
No other hands raised.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to close the public hearing part on this ordinance.
Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. This is the second reading of ordinance 3-22, entitled an ordinance amending section 325-24.1 residential parking program of the code of the city of Long Branch. I need a motion to adopt on second reading and a second and final reading and advertise according to law.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler?
Yes.
Mr. Viera?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
And Dr. Vogt?
Yes. Thank you. Ordinances for introduction. This is the first reading of ordinance 4-22, entitled an ordinance amending chapter 117 municipal swim pool complex by amending subsections 117-3 fees and subsection 117-6 hours of operation of the code of the city of Long Branch. And I would like to call on Attorney Raynone in terms of some information for this ordinance.
Correct. As a result of comments we received from the public actually regarding this ordinance and a discussion that I had with council, this ordinance, as it is in your packet, is going to be revised in section 1 to include the following language. Resident seasonal badges shall be made available for purchase exclusively by Long Branch residents for a 2-week period prior to the sale of non-resident seasonal badges. So it'll give Long Branch residents a couple of week period to purchase them, and then it'll be non-residents. So with that language added, I would ask the council's consideration to introducing this ordinance tonight.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Raynone. And as Mr. Raynone said, that was in direct response from some feedback that we got from one of our residents, and you'll hear that a little bit later on. So the summary, this ordinance amends section 117-3 by opening the municipal swim pool to residents and non-residents and changing the fee structure by adding a seasonal rate for residents and non-residents and a daily fee for guest passes. Subsections 117-6 was amended by adding normal daily hours of operation along with hours for swim lessons, senior activities, and water baby programs. I need a motion to introduce on first reading, advertise and post according to law, and set the public hearing for February 23rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler?
Yes.
Mr. Viera?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
And Dr. Vogt?
Yes. This is the first reading of ordinance 5-22 entitled a bond ordinance amending and restating bond ordinance number 24-14, finally adopted by the City Council of the City of Long Branch in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey on November 25th, 2014, to decrease the total debt authorized from $30,260,000 to $30,083,900. To amend the description to include improvements to the city library and to amend the supplement other provisions therein. Summary of this ordinance. The ordinance amends bond ordinance number 24-14, finally adopted on November 25th, 2014, to decrease the total debt authorized from $30,260,000 to to $30,883,900 to amend the description to include improvements to the city library and to amend and supplement other provisions therein. I need a motion to introduce on first reading, advertise, and post according to law, and set the public hearing for February 23rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler?
Yes.
Mr. Viera?
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes?
Yes.
Dr. Selly?
Yes.
And Dr. Vogt?
Yes. Now, public participation for resolutions and all general comments. I need a motion to open the public portion of the meeting for all comments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If any member of the public has any comment to make, please dial *9 on your phone and a representative will call on you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When you are called upon, state your name and address clearly for the record. You'll have 5 minutes to talk and may only speak once. All comments should be addressed to the council president. There will be no cross dialogue during the public portion. And after everyone from the public wishing to speak has been heard, any member of the council or the administration may address your comments and questions. While public participation is encouraged and valued, the presiding officer reserves the right to terminate remarks to or by any individual not in keeping with the conduct of a proper and efficient meeting. And do we have any callers?
Caller whose phone number ends in 350. Go ahead.
You know, why is it that I have to be the only public? How come nobody wants to come to your meetings? Why me, Ernest McNolly? You think I like this, being the only one? What are you all doing that's turning people off that no one wants to come or call? Because they see how you treat people like me. You see? There's rules for you and rules for us, and they're very different. You can castigate people and be nasty to people. And then if we try and state some facts that you don't like, you say, oh, that's personal. Listen, nothing in public office, in case you don't listen to the news, is personal. Look what they talk about on the news for politicians, mayors. Come on, you can't say, oh, that's personal. You mute him. You can't do that, but you're doing it. Anyway, look at the news now. Here's the big break we've been waiting for. James N. Butler, Esquire, Long Branch Municipal Prosecutor, Asbury Park Municipal Prosecutor, Neptune Township Municipal Prosecutor, Atlantic Highlands Prosecutor, Highlands Prosecutor, I think Monmouth Beach Prosecutor. You know, he has been my hostile, confidential informant for over 20 years. You know what that means? That means he had no idea in a one-party recording state like New Jersey that I was using him as an informant. And you can't imagine what Mr. Butler told me, what he's involved in, ticket fixing, criminal case fixing. It's all of public record. All with your judges in Long Branch, Siri, Selly, Bassin, Pasta. You know, look Peter Paul now. You should see the recordings I have of James N. Butler talking about your present judge and a lot of other recordings I have. So here's what I find interesting. Why, when I have all these recordings, the prosecutor, how Butler works with the prosecutor on getting all these sex offenders off, getting all these cops off. Look, a Long Branch police officer in a bar in Long Branch attempts to rape Patrick King's brother's daughter in front of senators, prosecutors, sheriffs, mayors, everybody. And look how it turns out. It's a minor offense. Minor. And now look with all the pedophilia and stuff you got in the schools. You're trying to water down these cases and fool the public. But now Butler got nabbed for what he did in Neptune, fixing a case. Now that's going to open up a big can of worms for how he works with the Monmouth County prosecutor, the Monmouth County Superior Court, Gramaccioni, Linsky, all of them, Jennifer Lipp, Melanie Falco. Yeah, even Judge Thornton. That's right, Judge Thornton. Come on, they grew up together. I grew up together. I grew up with their parents. Judge Thornton's mother is buried next to my father, right? And we stood at the graveyard a few years ago, burying her mother next to my father. I know all these people. I'm no stranger. And now that Butler is nabbed
1 minute
by the
notification.
by the committee person in Neptune Township. And look at what Neptune Township's going through. Sexual abuse of cops, females. Look at Asbury. Oh my God. And this is all Butler. It's all James and Butler. And what are you going to do about it, Mayor Pallone and Congressman Pallone? Come on now. You go way back with Jimmy, James Butler. Come on. And look at now, your lawyer, Renaud, asking all the Long Branch School pedophile teachers, right? Oh, hold off on the lawsuit. Give us time. Maybe Mr. Butler can help dilute it like the other cases. What happened to the Kavanaugh case?
Council President, I think that we really have stepped over a line here. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Magnoli. We are moving on to the next caller.
Did they shut his mic off again?
Caller whose phone number ends in 198. Go ahead.
Mr. IT Man, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Vincent Lepore, 33 Ocean Terrace, Long Branch. I'm requesting a 1-minute notification. Resolution 53, I'm requesting a no vote. The council continues to raise false hopes to the seniors that there will be a project taking place at the senior center. This resolution goes for almost a $300,000 professional fee. That $2 million contribution from the developer, which Pallone often refers to, is embroiled in 2 lawsuits against the city. I'm requesting a no vote. Resolution 54, concerning the former Seaview Towers site, designating 390 Ocean LLC as conditional redeveloper. Indeed, the records show on December 16, 21, the property was sold from Kronheim Realty to 390 Ocean. Taking note in the resolution, paragraph 4, and also paragraph 4 in the interim course agreement, both stating there will be no tax exemption under the long-term tax exemption law. However, there's no mention of barring short-term tax abatements or density bonus.
Oh, Mr. Lepore, that's just not.
I'm
just out of line.
talking again.
In all
the
due respect, you know that there's no
project by
tax abatement
390 Ocean for Seaview Towers site is in violation of NJDEP CAFR Coastal Zone Management Rules. And 390 was told this at a preliminary meeting with CAFR. So here's this council going head in again, straight up against NJDEP CAFR denial. And for the record, the principal mover behind both 290 Ocean, of which this city's involved in lawsuits, and tonight's 390 Ocean, is James Fusco, who made a major campaign contribution to the
That also, by the way,
team
Council
on
President, is just
September
fundamentally
20th,
not true.
2021.
Just so you know.
You will
Oh,
respond.
the Pallone pay-to-play gang gravy train. Now we go on to the police department. I need a vote at the last council meeting at the 57-minute 30 point. You stated, quote, our hearts go to the families of 2 slain officers in New York City, end quote. Perhaps in need a vote, you should have explained the same sentiment to our police officers after the Juneteenth riot in 2021. Pallone continues to be in denial of the riot. I've opened the police incident reports, clearly stated at the top of the incident report, nature, riot. I'm requesting 1 minute notification. The word riot is used numerous times throughout the report with charges for rioting. The atrocities in the report are horrendous. Police officers suffering bodily injuries, being transported to the hospital, urgency calls, property damage, state police on the scene, etc. And Pallone continues to deny it was a riot. Perhaps Mr. Pallone should read the incident report. After 2 warnings from the watchdogs, Mr. Pallone failed to protect this city. He was AWOL, requesting the police department check on his house during the riots. I have opened videos
First
of
off,
city
Council
surveillance cameras
President,
at Pier Village.
Just so you
The
know, Council President,
videos
none
from
of
Pier
this is
Village
true.
have not
It's
been
un-
responded to.
It's
I have
fundamentally
also
not true,
opened
so-
body and dash cam videos to
We-
which there has been no response on the Oprahs beyond the deadlines extended by the renowned law firm.
Mr. Lepore, I
As
don't
of
think you
Monday,
filed an
no
Oprah request.
videos have been answered.
1
I
minute.
need a vote.
notification.
Your departments are not responding to the Oprahs on time. They're not responding to the Oprahs when the department self-impose extensions on it and they can't even meet their own dates. And I'm not the only one having problems with this city. I know of others where Oprahs are not being answered. And perhaps we should contact the State General Records Council and start submitting Oprahs to them so that we get the proper information from these departments to answer our Oprahs. Or maybe is it because they don't want the videos out because the public will see from the viewpoint of the police the blood that was shed during the June 19, 2021 Pier Village riots. The Oprah system in this city has turned into junk government.
I would like to ask if anyone has some comments.
Only once again, it's hard to fact check something that's just all completely not true. And it just is. And it just, Mr. Lepore, once again, kind of making up things to fit his narrative. If we said that there was no long-term tax abatement and no short-term tax abatement, then Mr. Lepore would think that there was some other kind of tax abatement, because I have no idea what his next fantasy comment will be. But the fact of the matter is that this project was presented to council. We've gone through a blight designation, a redevelopment plan adoption, a public presentation by the property owner, and they all say the same thing, right? We're talking about something that's going to be in the neighborhood of $150 million tax rateable, which will generate something in the neighborhood of $3 million, a little bit more than $3 million a year in taxes. 42% of which goes, or something in the 40s, goes to the city. 45% of it goes to the schools. So these are all, good and positive things. But once again, Mr. Lepore has a narrative, and as many times as we try to state it up front, he just will not. He won't just tell the truth because he has a narrative. And I don't know what else to say. All of his other stuff about the police department, about the Oprah requests, are just, they're just fundamentally not true. And I don't, the clerk's office is splendid at responding to Oprah requests. They're on top of them all the time. And those things that are public get released, and those things don't. It's just that simple. And I don't want to, go too far, but, Mr. Lepore always talks about junk government. These are just junk comments. That's all they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, good.
Let me add that junk comments is being polite. I mean, Mr. Lepore is always deliberately misleading. He's inaccurate, and actually he's an outright liar. I'm not going to comment on some of the ridiculous things he said, but you know what? I would like to say a few things here, if I may. I didn't want to say this, but now it's just getting too desperate. So let me just point a few things. Let's remember that Mr. Lepore is against anything positive that this administration and city council has done. A few examples. Against the senior center expansion and renovation. Was against it. Was against the community pool. Scoffed at our new arts center. Against the city funding match for the $3 million library grant that we were awarded. Tried to stop the demolition of Seaview Towers. Lied about the city tax abatement on Lower Broadway when he knew we canceled it months earlier. Said the city tax base is destabilized. Yet our already healthy credit rating has improved last year for the first time in over a decade. He said we secretly signed an abatement with the Ocean Gate developers when we televised an in-person presentation and issued a press release the very next morning. We had a question and answer. We had professionals there. He was there. And now he's saying that we secretly did this. The list goes on and on. I think Mr. Lepore should take a hard look at himself before he talks about anybody's else credibility. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add, but it's just, he's just honestly become out of control with the outright lies.
Thank you, Mayor.
Well-
Mary Jane, did you? Oh, I'm sorry. Mario, did you?
No, I was just saying, well said.
Mary Jane, did you have any comments?
No, I do not, except I think what the mayor said is absolutely true. One time, I'd like to hear Mr. Lepore say something positive about this wonderful city that we represent, Long Branch.
Think about, Council President, what he said today with regards to the senior center renovation and expansion. So we have met with an architect. We have conceptual plans. We are now today in a resolution going out, engaging the architect to finalize the construction plans and to take over the management of this project. And yet he's saying it's never going to happen. But again, it's just so typical. He asks city employees questions, he gets an answer, and then he comes back on 2 occasions and says there's cracks in the community pool. There are no cracks in the community pool. He was told there are no cracks in the community pool. But again, let's remember that Mr. Lepore went to the DEP and fought tooth and nail to try to get that stopped. He was against the demolition, again, went to the DEP and against the demolition of Seaview Towers, claiming that there was asbestos in the air when he knew fully well that there was a full-time person monitoring Seaview Towers and who was there entirely during construction. Georgia, am I correct about that?
Yes, sir. You are correct, Mr. Mayor.
So again, I talked about the Ocean Gate development. Same thing. He was there. It was a public meeting, a deliberate public presentation to get Q&A, and he's saying that this agreement was done, secretly. And finally, again, he keeps talking about Lower Broadway when he knew months ago we canceled that abatement, and yet he's saying there's an abatement on Lower Broadway.
Yeah.
Mr. Raynone, I don't know how clear he or anybody else can be that Seaview Towers is not and will not get a tax abatement. Yet I don't know how he could. Mr. Raynone, tell me, how did he said there's going to be a tax abatement there. Where is he coming from?
I have no idea. It's Mayor, it's his answer to everything, and that's the problem. Even though we stated and say it up front, every presentation, every document, and in all due respect, and just so you know, he tried to tie those 2 developments to a party that, and I did all of the negotiations, we've never met with. The property, that's not the property owner. That might have been the person who sold the property to somebody somewhere along the line, but On the 390 property, the owner of that property was Mr. Kronheim, and has been for, I don't know, 25 years, and he sold it. And Mr. Lepore somehow connects that to somebody who, in his mind, he wants to connect it to. I don't know how to say more about what we do openly here at these council meetings, and honestly, I'm glad the mayor's, it's tiresome, honestly.
Yeah.
And I have to, and I'm sorry, Council President, I have to say one last thing. Director Saldita, Mr. Raynone, Mr. Jackson, could one of you please say on June 19th where I was and when I started talking to you about, I don't even want to get into it, but Director Saldita, if you don't mind, Mr. Lepore is saying that I asked the police department to look and protect my house. That is the most outrageous thing that I have ever heard in my life. And Mr. Lepore, I don't know how you would even make that comment. I really don't. It really bothers me. So, Director, please.
Well, and for the, I don't know if the director has a comment, but for the record, I know, Mayor, that I was on the phone with you that entire night with Director Saldita. We were in constant contact. You were on scene. I don't know. It's the craziest thing. It literally is the craziest thing in the world. And everybody should also understand, by the way, that when Mr. Lepore says that he files Oprah requests, he does not. Other people file Oprah requests and claim that they're from him, but he does not file Oprah requests. I want council to understand that. Mm-hmm. So that is very clear.
Can council hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
go ahead, Director.
I apologize. I've had some technical difficulties with my video this evening. But anyway, just to touch on what the mayor said. That evening, it actually started earlier in the day. The mayor was on the phone in constant contact with myself and all members that are on the screen today. We did everything as professionals that day. We did not deviate from professionalism, and we took care of our city and brought it to a calm surrender. In other words, that everybody went home at a certain time and saved a lot of things. Mr. Lepore, basically, I have to agree with the councilman and the council and the mayor and Mr. Raynone that he deliberately comes up with fantasies that he starts to speak about things that never happened. Why he does these things, I have no idea, nor have I ever met the man that I could even give you a better explanation. So when he speaks about video cams and everything else that he talks about that he cannot get, well, those things are guided by the prosecutor's office and the state attorney general's office. They are not turned over overnight. There's a lot of footage that has to go through. There's a lot of things they have to do. So once again, he's wrong on what he says. He says what people, like a grab, he'll say something to grab people's attention. It's not the truth. It's just to get people, fired up and motivated with him. So I apologize to city council and I apologize to the mayor for having to deal with this every week, every council meeting. But like we said, we took oaths of office for public office and we endure what comes our way and do the best job possible. So Mayor, whatever you need, I stand by your side and council.
Thank you, Director, and Mr. Raynone and the mayor, everyone who made comments. No need for apologies here, Director. Clearly, anyone watching the council meetings, you have noticed how we have changed some of our procedures. And so in trying to be very cognizant of, freedom of speech and what can people say and what is, what do we do in terms of even trying to promote civility, but even trying to promote accuracy. And so, speakers can go on for a certain period of time. But we have found it necessary that we have to have these periods of time afterwards where the professionals like Mr. Raynone, who has negotiated contracts, who knows the law, who's able to say that this is the way these statements were written. This is the way that they should be interpreted. Same thing with the director, same thing with the mayor, just to ensure that information all of the information that's needed is presented. So I appreciate, speaking as a council president right now, I appreciate this period of time, and I appreciate those people who have spoken up to help us make sure that all of the information that needs to be presented is presented. And with that, I will ask Madam Clerk, have we received any public comment on electronic mail or written letter?
Yes, I've received one email from Laura Tarlow. It reads, while tonight's ordinance 4-22 for the community pool is specifically for the fee schedule and hours, I would like the council to consider establishing for the seasonal badges 2 sign-up periods, one for residents to then be followed 2 to 4 weeks later for non-residents. The rationale for this proposal assumes the pool will be very popular and a seasonal badge cap may be necessary. If so, residents should have first choice of the available slots. In subsequent years, you can determine if those with prior year passes get first choice to renew, then open for residents and then for non-residents. We see a model for this 2-period registration for Ocean Township's recreation programs. Their spring registration starts February 16th for town residents and March 9th registration for non-residents. Ocean Township does not have 2 registration periods for their pool program, in part because their pool size is significantly larger than ours. With 2 periods for the pool seasonal badge registration, there is upside value for the residents, and I see no financial harm by delaying the sign-up period for non-residents. Thank you for your consideration of the above. Regards, Laura Tarlow, 52 Barris Drive.
Thank
And
you.
Council President, that's the change we made in the ordinance tonight.
Exactly, exactly.
Good suggestion and catch by Ms. Tarlow.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say, and good that we got it right at the period of time we were able to respond to it. So thanks to her for her comment. And now I need a motion to close the public participation portion of this meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now I'll ask Madam Clerk if there were any changes to the list of resolutions.
A resolution 41-22 was removed from consent agenda and placed on roll call vote after the consent agenda vote.
Okay, thank you. We can take the listed resolutions as the consent agenda. I need a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Thank you, Councilwoman Wittes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler,
Yes.
Mr. Vieira,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yeah.
Dr. Selly,
Yes.
and Dr. Vogt.
Yes. Resolution by roll call vote. I now need a motion to adopt the following resolution on a roll call vote. The resolution, this is a resolution approving a memorandum of agreement with the United Food and Commercial Workers Union Local 152. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler,
Abstain.
Mr. Vieira,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yes.
Dr. Selly,
Yes.
and Dr. Vogt.
Yes. Applications. I now need a motion to approve the following members of the Long Branch Fire Department. Thomas Flanagan IV from Independent Company, and the status is active. Brian Lowy from the Elberon Company, and the status is active. Do I have a motion?
So
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And now for the miscellaneous
Need a roll
business of
call.
the, sorry, roll call, please.
Mr. Dangler,
Yes.
Mr. Vieira,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes,
Yes.
Dr. Selly,
Yes.
and Dr. Vogt.
Yes. And now moving on to the miscellaneous business of the order. And Councilman Dangler, why don't you start us off?
Thank you. First, I would again like to extend my prayers to the DeStefano family. Appreciate his 20 years of service, and we pray for their family as they're going through this time. Second, a happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And third, I know the COVID seems to be dropping off some, but still please stay safe and let's not take it for granted until we beat COVID-19. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman Dangler. Councilman Vieira.
Yes, thank you. I also want to extend my prayers to the Stefano family. He was a great guy. Did a lot of work in the city of Long Branch, and I want to send out my prayers to them. I also want to thank Layla. She did a great job this evening with the Black History Month. Great job, Layla. And I also want to Christine and Chris Parker with a beautiful job what they did with the exhibit there at the Art Center. I encourage everybody to go see it. It's a beautiful job. And that's it. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Vieira. And Councilwoman Wittes.
Hi, good evening. I too would like to give my condolences to Renee and the DeStefano family. We went to school with Mike. We've known him for a long time, and he was a great person, and he will be missed. Christine, you did a great job at the Art Center, and I hope everyone has the opportunity to go see it. And I also want to, remind everyone that the Hometown Heroes program deadline is March 15th. And if you could go on our website, if you know of someone that you would like to honor, go on the website and sign up as soon as you can. And please share the advertisement on your Facebook page so that other people who wouldn't normally go on our website might see them, might want to participate in the Hometown Hero program. And with that, thank you everyone for participating this evening and have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wittes. Councilwoman Selly.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I too would like to offer my sincere sympathy to Renee and the boys on the passing of Michael DeStefano. I had the honor of serving with him for 16 years. He was a great guy and a fine councilman, and the entire city is going to miss him. Next, I'd like to talk about the masks that we should be wearing, just to be careful. And with that, I'd say stay safe and God bless you all. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Selly. Mayor Flown.
Thank you, Council President. I too would like to say a few words about Michael. I have known Michael as Rose had since the 7th grade middle school. He actually was in my homeroom class, and you don't remember a lot about a lot of people, but I always remember how smart Michael was and how focused he was as I look back at a 12-year-old, in the 7th grade. I also served with Mike on the city council between 1990 and 94, so I got to know him well. I must tell you, we, as many of you know, we had our differences, but one thing that I always admired, or some of the things that I always admired about Mike, and I think we became, friendly for many years and recently as well. But he was always really smart, always honest. I admired his integrity, his loyalty to his friends, but probably, and he had many friends, but probably most important, and a lot of people say this, but this was really true about Mike, his love for his family, for his wife, for his kids, and his love, his absolute love for Long Branch and wanting to see Long Branch be and do its best. So again, my prayers go out to Renee and his family, and I just wanted to say a few words about the Michael that I knew. I have a few other things I just wanted to say. We continue to have our weekly testing with vaccines at the Bucky James Center. We encourage our residents to take advantage of this in-town option, and please call our health department for more information. Rose, which is responsible for our Hometown Heroes banner program, is up and running. That honors United States military veterans who presently or formerly reside in Long Branch. Banners will be displayed throughout the town. More information is on our website at longbranch.org. And I know Christine, I just want to say, well, first of all, Layla, I want to talk on a little more positive note here, and I apologize maybe for whatever, but Layla, I remember, I mean, it's really great to see her. I remember her being passed in Second Baptist Church between her mom and dad when they literally were, I guess, months old, and it's just very nice to see the young woman that she is. So thank you, Layla. And finally, I just wanted to thank Christine again for that great presentation. And I just wanted to reiterate that we have the reception, which I think is really going to be exciting and fun, on the 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's open to everyone, so please come. You'll learn a lot. But in addition to that, there's going to be live music, food from Sutton for the Soul, and it's free and open to everyone. And please attend. And with that, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you, council and administration, for being my
Thank you, Mayor. So let me join in a few things that have already been said. Just to talk about Michael from the Brookdale perspective, that as much as he was loved by Long Branch, he was equally loved by Brookdale. I mentioned when I was just saying some comments about him, how he had a work record of, never taking a sick day. He, I might have these dates, the exact date wrong, but as I heard it, his last day at Brookdale, I think, was January 21st. He went in for surgery on January 23rd. He worked right up until the last minute that he could. He was just phenomenal in terms of how he gave of himself, both to Long Branch and to Brookdale. Truly well loved. Truly will be missed, Renee, and the boys. Our hearts are with you. It is so joyous to be able to see our students, right? To see Layla come up and Mayor, just like you're saying, you knew her, way back when as a baby, and to see how our youth are just growing into the leaders of tomorrow is just very heartwarming. And along with thanking Layla and thanking Christine, I want to thank Nikisha. Mayor, do you know Nikisha's last name? I'm not sure. She works in the library.
Marshall.
And Nikisha is the one that we work with. Heather works with her to select the student who is going to read the resolution. And there were a few months that passed because there wasn't any particular heritage that month that was being recognized. But it's so nice to be able to focus on one particular group and just really celebrate all their contributions. So thank you, Nikisha, for helping us with that. Somebody, I think it was Billy Dangler, already said Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And I'll add to that by saying, enjoy the Super Bowl, and I hope your team wins. With that, everybody, why don't we call it a night, and good meeting. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone. And now I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Thank you so much. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.